Hi folks, so today I'm going to do something that some of you probably hope I do more often, and that is shut up and row. Now quite literally I'm going to keep my mouth closed and I'm going to row 5,000 meters because I'm going to do this just breathing through my nose. Now I'll explain why during the warm-up and stuff, but I'm actually going to make a standalone separate video about this, and I just want to have this row here as something to refer to. So I invite you to do this along with me, see if you can row this 5k just breathing through your nose as well, okay? Now, I'm going to be doing this slower than I would normally row at, obviously, but there's two other really important things you have to do. First things first, stick your drag factor to the lowest possible setting, okay? Even if you want to throw a t-shirt or something across the top of the fan to try and reduce even more air, it's important you take it down. But we're also going to row this at a slightly more elevated stroke rate than you might expect if you're going to be rowing something just breathing through your nose. So I'm going to be around about 26 to 28 strokes a minute, which is quite high, it must be said. But there's a reason for that in terms of just making sure and putting in the effort that you need to, so you can kind of get your heart rate up while the intensity's down at the bottom, all right? Now, like I say, I'm going to explain more about this during the warm-up, so let's get into that warm-up. Now, I've already set up the machine by going to its minimum drag factor, or if you're on a different machine, just set it to its minimum resistance, okay? Monitor set it to your eye height so you can keep that posture good. You're not looking up, you're not looking down. And finally, remember to set your foot stretchers to a point where you're able to get to the front of the machine with your shins pointing in a vertical position, okay? If you're set too high, it all gets a little bit bound up. If you're set too low, it can be a little bit too kind of loose, and you might grab the top of your toes and it becomes uncomfortable, okay? Especially if you're in socks. So, 4-minute warm-up, we're going to do this normally, okay? We're not going to do this nasal breathing, and I'm not going to do the single leg and the arms only, back only, because we're just going to row for 4 minutes just to get heart rate up and breathing rate up a little bit before the main row, okay? So here we go, in 3, 2, 1, and we're off. Now, I could probably have waited until the main session before reducing the drag factor, just to make sure I had the right kind of sensation, but, or at least, well, that's more what it's like, is that by reducing the drag factor now, I'm making sure I have the right sensation, that I'm not suddenly trying to work out how I need to row at such a low drag factor. Now, you may notice, if you watch enough of my videos, that my compression into the front isn't quite what it should be, and that's because I'm coming back from a sacroiliac joint issue, and I still don't quite have full motion leaning forwards. And I'm kind of hoping that today's row is going to help with that, but it's definitely still uncomfortable. I'm just hoping that a lighter effort row is going to help rather than hinder. Okay, so why are we doing nasal breathing? It's all about oxygen transportation, and most specifically about carbon dioxide tolerance. Teaching yourself to have a bit of a better tolerance to having carbon dioxide in your blood. Now remember, when you burn fats or sugars for energy, it uses that oxygen, and one of the byproducts is carbon dioxide. But in order for the transfer or the release of the carbon dioxide and the transfer of oxygen into your blood to then get to your muscles, that carbon dioxide needs to be there. So if when you're rowing, you're constantly hyperventilating, you're getting all the carbon dioxide out, and there may not be enough in your blood to efficiently make use of the oxygen in your blood. So when you breathe in, there's 4 molecules of oxygen attached to the hemoglobin, and you want to make sure that they all get into your muscles, okay, into your blood, muscles, whatever. And so there needs to be enough
carbon dioxide in your blood, muscles, whatever, for that transfer to happen at its most efficient point. And so if you can learn to have a little bit better tolerance to carbon dioxide, then that transfer can start to become more efficient. And so by doing a row, breathing through your nose, because you're not able to heave in air through the big hole in the front of your face, and you have to use your nose instead, you can't hyperventilate basically. I'm sure you could, but. So it teaches that kind of carbon dioxide tolerance. That's a very pop science over 2.5 minutes, but last one for me. Right, but the other thing is, when you breathe through your nose, it releases nitric oxide through your, or nitrous? Yeah, nitric oxide, through your blood, which then, that's a vacillator. You can tell I should really write this on the board somewhere. But basically it opens up your blood vessels and it lets that oxygen in your blood travel around your body better. So breathing through your nose actually helps the blood get through your body better anyway, and then when it gets there, because of the carbon dioxide tolerance, the transfer is much more efficient. So this is what we're teaching our body about today. We're not talking about performance, we're talking about oxygen transportation and efficiency in a row like this. So it's not one that you do all the time. I'm basically doing one of these a week just to try and see what happens, whether I'm able to go do my 5K quicker or do it with a lower heart rate or whatever. But it's definitely an important one in terms of your kind of your core, how your body works from a fitness point of view. So I'm gonna have a quick drink and then I'm gonna plug in 5,000 meters and then we'll get into our main row. There's a chance that we're going to be slightly out of sync because this RowAlong thing doesn't particularly work when we're doing it over distance. So do be prepared to either fast forward the YouTube video if you finish before me, or just quickly hit pause if I finish before you, and then I will then come back to talk to you for the cool down, etc. Because this 5K itself, I'm not going to be speaking. I'm actually just going to stick on some music, and so I'll find some kind of library music or whatever to put in the background of the video, so that's there. But I do, again, if you want to just listen to your own music, then please do for the duration of the 5K row. Okay, so remember, you are doing this at a high stroke rate, around about 26-ish. Drop your drag factor, please. Now, the important thing when it comes to stroke rate is that what you want to do is match a stroke rate to your breathing pattern. It may take you a little while to get in there, okay, to kind of try and work out what it is. It may also, you'll spend the first minute or so panicking a little bit because you're like, hang on, this isn't right, I should be breathing faster than this. But trust it and just going to see if you can get through that opening couple of minutes without having to open your mouth and breathe in because you're like, ugh. But the point here is that I'm rowing this at like a 4 out of 10 intensity. This is not in terms of how much body effort I'm putting in. I'm not putting in loads of effort. I'm just getting up there so that I can work hard enough to know that my heart rate's up and my breathing is kind of up, but not so much that I'm suffocating because I'm keeping my mouth closed, okay? So that's the important part. If you do have to stop and breathe out through your mouth, then breathe through your mouth, okay? You don't have to slave your way through this. Just stop your row, sit, breathe properly, and once you're happy, you can continue with nasal breathing, pick up the handle and continue to row, okay? Then if you have to stop again, stop again. Just keep on going through this row. I want all 5,000 meters that you row to be done through your nose. But if you have to stop 10 times, then stop 10 times. And then the next time you do this, you'll see if you only have to stop 8 times, okay? You're developing this carbon dioxide tolerance. That's what's important here, okay? So breathe through your nose is the thing here, but don't like tape your mouth shut and make it so that and strap yourself into the machine so that you're a slave to it, okay? Right, so I am gonna have another quick kind of pause here because I'm gonna go and stick on probably a Dead Mouse mix to listen to while I row this 5K. Yeah, so good luck with it. Make sure, breathe through your nose, find that stroke rate, don't panic, but if you have to stop, stop, all right? Cool, right. Just give me a second to turn the music off. Right, so that was interesting. I mean, the two things I didn't say right at the beginning are, one, make sure to blow your nose, because otherwise as you're breathing in and out. Another thing is try not to do it in a cold room, because even it's quite warm in here today and my nose is still quite sore from breathing in cool air. So yeah, so that's the two things that I should really have said, and I will make sure and put that in the description to this video. Not that I think anyone ever reads the descriptions, to be honest, but hey, answers on a postcard whether you do. Right, let's get into a 2-minute cool down. Breathe how you wish for this one. And then we'll do some extra bits or stretching and chat. Okay, so here we go. It's cool down, whatever pace you want. In 3, 2, 1, go. Now the reason I say whatever pace you want is the chances are you weren't working really hard in that main set. So maybe you don't need to hold this up at like 2K plus 30 or something. You can just back right off and just use this as a kind of a mental disengage from what you were just doing. So I don't know the best way to do it. I think once I'm done with the cool down and I'm talking to you, although I'm going to bring Stretchy Man up to guide you through some stretching, I'm going to climb off and do some stretching of my own. So I have to apologise if I suddenly go out of focus through that part as I sit down there on the floor. For info, cool down wise, I'm up at 24 strokes a minute right now because I just want to let my body just ease off at round about just a few clicks under the rate it was just rowing at, but I'm rowing 10 seconds slower than my average. I think I averaged about 2:07 pace for that 5k, and now I'm down at 2:15 right now. But at 24 strokes a minute, that's very, very slow. I'd normally be doing 24 at a good 20 seconds faster than this. So I'm still letting my body cool down. Heart rate still way down at 115. One more stroke. So, if you have time and space, then try and find somewhere you can do some stretching, because in a couple of seconds, you're gonna enjoy the delightful smiley face of Stretchy John as he takes you through a few minutes worth of stretches that I would normally do at the end of a row. However, like I said in the warm-up, because my SI joints completely gone on me, I'm going to do just a couple of stretches on my own that focus on that, which are mostly hip flexors, and then I'll see what else I can do, maybe glutes. But yeah, I had a rather nasty moment last week where my SI joint just completely clicked on me. My muscles all down my left hand side, kind of around obliques and to my lower back, went totally into spasm. I couldn't get out of bed. I was completely stuck. I ended up having to roll out, and then it was really sore to walk. Fortunately, even though it was a bank holiday here in Scotland, managed to get an osteopath appointment for it, and met a man with very magical fingers. And then I saw an osteopath. No, they were one and the same. Alessandro, from the Glasgow osteopaths. And he was a miracle worker, because through some trigger point massage where he pressed really hard into certain points, and then acupuncture, and then quick chiropractic adjustment, like that, all the muscle spasms went. Unfortunately, I'm still left with the SI joint kind of itself is sore, and I'm beginning to think that this is the, I keep on getting the name of this muscle wrong. It's the psoas muscle and the iliopsoas, or are they linked? I think it's that's the problem, so that's what I need to stretch. And so I'm doing that partly with these hip flexor stretches, just trying to ease into it, just trying to open out my hips, because I think that's what the cause was. Anyway, that's just, see, I've got no stability here. That's not what we're on about today. What we're on about is that 5K through nasal breathing. How did you get on, I wonder? Now, you may be wondering why I didn't just do it as 20 minutes, so that we could have just done the RowAlong together. The reason for not doing this as a duration and to do it over the 5K, which does cause the RowAlong kind of sync issue, is that you could set it for 20 minutes, and then if after every 30 seconds you have to stop for 30 seconds to breathe through your mouth, you're kind of missing the training point of it, because you'd only be rowing for 10 minutes of it. Whereas if you've got 5K in front of you that you have to get through, you have to get through that 5K, no matter how long you spend stopping or needing to stop. I'm just going to get myself ready for glutes, if I can. Wouldn't it be funny if Stretchy John was doing glutes right now? Oh, see, this rotation hurts. So the interesting thing, like I said, is that the first minute or so, as you try to find that point where you can match your stroke rate to your breathing pattern, can be a little bit worrying. Now, I've done this is like the third time I've done this now. So I'm starting to get a lot more comfortable, and I no longer panic as I'm kind of like, as my body's like, should you not be breathing out through your mouth? But then once that goes, it's funny because you just hit that rhythm, and it's just about working out when you should be breathing in and when you should be breathing out through the stroke. Now, as that row went on, I changed where I was breathing in and breathing out. I'm going to do this and talk to you at the same time. I changed. Sometimes I was breathing in as I took the drive. Sometimes I was breathing out as I took the drive. I was just letting my body do what it wanted to do. But I was still one breath per stroke. And I think that's the key to that, is to try and find a rhythm where you're on one breath per stroke, and also an intensity. I mean, I was down at 207 pace. I'm going to do inner thighs next. Or groin, as it's better known. Oh, you're crikey, I've got no stretch here at all. But yeah, if your intensity is so much that you're breaking that limit of how much you can breathe while you're rowing, especially if it's one breath per stroke, then you're probably going too hard from an intensity point of view. So my normal slow row for that kind of distance would probably be around about 203 pace at 20 strokes a minute, whereas I was way up there stroke rate around about 26, but I was way down there pace wise down to like 207 because my intensity was right down. But the point here is that you want to work to a level where you know that you can breathe through your nose while you're doing this. and you're not going to kind of break that limit of how much you're able to breathe through your nose. So, and then the next time, hopefully I can do it at the same stroke rate and I can speed up to like 206, 205 pace. And then that's how you can build up the tolerance. So it's worthwhile coming back and doing this once a week. Whether you do it along with me or whether you just set up a 5K row, put on your own music, then that's probably, to be honest, better now that you know the protocol for doing this. But the point here is, like I say, it's about improving how the oxygen can get into your blood and into your muscles to fuel those muscles, so that then you're able to row more efficiently for longer. And it must be said, the whole thing of breathing through your nose, you may have heard about it in yoga or something like that, or like a way to kind of calm you down, because it hits that parasympathetic system. And it will help kind of calm you a little bit by breathing through your nose. So if you are doing a hard row and you're able to be calm while doing it, rather than panicking and going, oh, I can't breathe, and heaving for air, you're going to be able to last longer before you hit that real oxygen debt, okay? So it's obviously if you're doing like a 2K, there's going to be a certain point where you may kind of hit that maximum point. But I remember there's a guy, Danny Ryan, I used to row against. He was doing like kind of 6:26 2Ks at a point when I was still only doing like 6:39. So he was streaks ahead of me, and he was taking 1 breath per stroke. Ex-boxer, so an incredible cardiovascular system anyway. But he was doing a 2K at 6:26 pace. That's what, 120, no, 134-ish? Is that right? No, 137, 136 and a half, if that's my maths right. But 1 breath per stroke. It was incredible. You'd hear him really loudly going, as he exploded out the breath, but then he'd breathe in on the way in and explode on the way out. Incredible, because he could control his breathing. It was just fantastic to watch. Shame I always lost to him, but hey, you know, I'm not an ex-boxer, and I'm nowhere near as fit as him, and he just had that. I think he was able to put himself into a place as a boxer of pain that very few other people can. So anyway, so that's the point of the nasal breathing. So I've got massively distracted, as I always do, but that's the point of the nasal breathing in today's row, is to try and help with that carbon dioxide tolerance, to try and help the oxygen get into your blood, because it's not, although breathing is about trying to get the carbon dioxide out of your system, you still need to make sure that there's some in there for that oxygen transfer to happen. So it's important that you're not just hyperventilating and just blowing out all the CO2. So there we go. That was this. Like I say, I'm going to make, if you haven't seen it already, obviously there's a time trap and things, I haven't made it yet, but if you haven't seen it already, I'm going to make a standalone video talking about this, and then I'll use parts of this as a kind of a just stuff to put up on screen. But I thought I'd have it up here as a RowAlong for all you folks to do. Now remember, I do have well over 300 different workouts up here on the channel. Every single one of them is free. Everything I do here is free, so just find one, whether it's part of a plan, whether it's a standalone workout, whether you just want to do one of the rows within a plan as a standalone workout, it doesn't matter. Just pick something you want to do, have a row, and those ones I will talk during the row. I'll keep you company talking about technique and motivation, all that kind of stuff. Or you could watch some of my standalone kind of technique videos, or like bits about apps or whatever. Just take a sniff around the channel, see what's going on up here. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos for you to watch. Please get in touch. Let me know how you're finding them, either whether you leave a comment on this video or another video, or whether you want to email me or join the Facebook group or whatever. I'd love to hear from you. Basically, I keep on making these because I know that you folks keep on watching them, so I need to know you keep on watching them, so make sure and get in touch, all right? Thank you so much for rowing this one with me. Please let me know how you got on with it. Were you able to get it through the whole 5K without opening your mouth, or did you have to stop? I'd be really intrigued to find out how you get on. And of course, if you come back and do this again at another date, it'd be really interesting to find out if you managed to do it faster, or if you managed to do it without stopping, etc, etc. All right, thank you so much for watching me on this one. I will see you in a future video. Be well. Bye bye.